All right. Hey, Monica.
Hello, Brigida.
Cheers.
Cheers.
So, people, I'm sitting here with Monica Moses, editor-in-chief of American Craft Magazine. And as you know, I'm in Minneapolis these days, writing about some background on the magazine, how it's put together. And there were some questions that came from some of you guys, and I thought it would be kind of fun, just sit with Monica here, grab a cup of coffee, ask your questions, and we'll see what clever answers she can come up with.
So, or
not, we'll see. So let me make this a little bit more relaxing here, like this, like so. So one of the first questions that people ask is, who do you think is your core audience? How would you describe these people?
Well, generally speaking, we think of these people, our readers, as people who see the value of creative living.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a very broad statement. But these are people who are intrigued by a creative life, who may be artists. We know that at least half of our readers are artists. They're artists, or they're potentially artists, and they see something that is rarely recognized today, which is the value of working with your hands and making things and living creatively. Mm-hmm. So that's the short answer. We also see, as part of our audience, people who appreciate artists and want to support artists and see the arts as a critical part of life. So that's it, basically.
That's very broad.
Yes.
So because this is such a broad group, how do you then determine content?
Sure.
And how do you balance those informational needs that this diverse group of people has?
Sure. Basically, when I say we are evangelizing, basically, for creative living, it's through the lens of craft mediums. So wood and glass and ceramics and fiber and metal and other things, paper often. So through that lens, we're basically saying, hey people, you are human beings, you have a creative spark, whoever you are, don't forget about this essential part of life, which frankly in modern life is frequently forgotten about. So determining content is an art rather than a science. Mm-hmm. Essentially, we aim for a mix. So a mix of mediums, a mix of established artists, emerging artists, all ethnicities, all walks of life. We really look for a broad range of people who are tapping into their creativity.
Are you open to suggestions? I mean, how does this work? I assume it's happening that people write you email and say, hey, I saw this awesome artist, you should write about him. Does it happen, and do you?
Well, I have to say, it's extremely helpful. We've gotten many good writers that way, many good artists who become profiles in the magazine that way. I would say it happens less often that people recommend someone else. People do recommend themselves, which is fine. What are you going to do?
If you're in business for yourself.
Absolutely.
If you don't do it, who's going to do it for you?
Exactly. So now I forgot the question.
Is it okay if people email you and say, look at this?
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. I will say my email is a fire hose, and I cannot keep up. It's very difficult. I miss things regularly, so it's important to put in the subject line, something that gets my attention. It helps to put my name in, hi Monica, blah, 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 because then I know it's not a mass email.
Yeah.
Less likely to ignore it. And an interesting thing that people do sometimes is mail me stuff.
You like that?
They mail me images, they mail me, the most interesting aspects of their personal stories. I do like that because, like everybody else, I'm getting less mail these days, so it gets my attention. We actually have a video, it may be a video or a podcast on our website. It's not a great piece of production, frankly. But it's I did a talk at the Center for Craft Creativity and Design a couple of years ago, and it's all about how to get our attention.
Mm-hmm.
So if people are interested, they can find that on our website.
Is there any specific group of artists that you have a harder time finding?
Mm-hmm.
And what is that group?
Mm-hmm. That's an interesting question. Emerging artists can be hard to find because in many cases I think they are so focused on perfecting their craft and less focused on marketing themselves, so they can be tricky. You know, sometimes people are making life changes and they're so focused on that that they're also not letting people know about it, and those can make really interesting stories, you know. Somebody who's moving from fiber to ceramics or what have you. So yeah, that's...
So basically let you know and write in the headline, Monica, call me.
Don't say call me.
Call me.
I don't like to phone.
Oh.
But say, hi Monica, here's a, you know, succinct summation of my story.
Okay. You heard it first here. Another question that came through was as what we're just talking about, how to get your attention. So how would a maker who is not affiliated with a gallery get your attention?
Oh yeah, same rules.
Really makes no difference, does it?
Makes no difference.
Right.
You know, send us something succinct, short, brief, include images. Try to think of what's the juiciest part of your personal story and lead with that.
Mm-hmm. And then what's then the next step in the process? Let's say, you know, I send in something that I think is particularly newsworthy, and you look at it and you determine, yeah, this could work, but then what's the next step?
Well, I have to say we move slowly. So there are times when we have our eye on an artist, but we're kind of waiting for the right moment or the right theme of the magazine, and it may take a year or two, frankly. So the next step sort of depends on us. And I certainly have told people who've gotten in touch, you know, please keep in touch, please let me know what other things you're doing. So the next step is, if we do go ahead and decide to write a story about somebody, we choose a writer who we think is appropriate to the story, and then we get in touch.
And so I understand that every magazine has its own overarching topic or theme.
Right.
Can you divulge what the next topics will be, so
Sure.
that if there's somebody in the audience who thinks, oh, my work might be appropriate for that topic, is there?
Sure.
Can you say that?
Sure. We're now closing our June-July issue, and the theme of that is public art, and it has a little twist, which is play. August-September is the access issue, and we've already planned that, frankly. But that's an issue about who gets to be an artist. What are the barriers to being an artist today? And then October-November is Glass Innovators. And
Is that like a special thing, just glass?
we'll probably have some other stories in the mix in case people aren't interested in glass, but that'll be a focus.
And that would be then glass jewelry also, glass sculpture?
Everything.
Everything. Okay.
Yeah. And then December, January is kind of a loose topic, and that is the state of craft.
Ooh. So anything goes?
Anything goes to some degree, yeah.
Anything goes. Okay. All right. So if anything goes, what responsibility do you feel you have to educate on historical work?
Sure. One thing we don't want to do in the magazine is assume knowledge of craft history. And the reason we don't want to do that, and I understand that that can be sort of controversial, the reason we don't want to assume that knowledge is that it becomes a barrier to reading. And again, we feel like human beings all have a creative spark. These days, it's really easy to push that aside and not be in touch with creativity. We have an obligation to be accessible and let people know, hey, this is an important part of life, get in touch with it. If we make knowledge of craft history sort of a barrier to entry, we're losing people. So certainly there are references to craft history in the magazine, but we always explain them and ground people in the context so that it doesn't become Greek and impenetrable and difficult for people.
Right, and in general, the writing in the magazine is for a general audience.
Yes.
You don't really have to
Yes.
be an insider
Yes.
to understand what's going on, which is something that I really like, because it helps me not. I don't feel stupid. You explain things to me in a way that doesn't make me feel stupid.
Right. Now not everybody feels that way.
Oh, really?
Oh, sure. I mean, there are people who feel that it should be more of an insider's publication. And I understand that impulse. You have to sort of put a stake in the ground when you edit a magazine, and we have decided
This is yours.
that modern life undervalues creativity, and in particular working with your hands and working with craft mediums. Therefore, we have an obligation to make it as easy for people to understand as possible, while still, being intelligent and subtle and nuanced and all of those good things.
Perfect segue to my next question. Sorry. This is a question that actually fits right in here, and it is, what do you think about modern technologies, such as laser cutting and 3D printing? And do you believe that they change the character of craft?
In general, I feel like that question about whether they change the character of craft is for people with more time and theoretical impulses than I have to figure out. Essentially what we are seeing today, especially in the last decade, is that technology plays a greater role in craft. And there are artists who make gorgeous, one-of-a-kind brooches, for example, entirely by hand, and then on the side they have a production line that's 3D printed. And our feeling is they're trying to make a living, they're trying to balance the demands of daily life, do what you gotta do, and we feel like we can't ignore the growing role of technology. And it's really not our place to sort of approve or disapprove of that. It may be that technology is changing craft. In general, I feel like the hand still plays a great role in craft, a large role in craft. And, I don't see the end times coming.
Well, that's good to know. So if you had a message, to your readers, what would you like to tell them? What do you need from your readers? So far, it went the other way around. So what do you need from your readers?
Well, we love feedback. And frankly, magazines these days get very little feedback. So we love letters to the editor. We love emails telling us what you thought of this story or that story, good or bad. We love to hear from people. We love to know what sort of influence and impact we're having. But
you'd like that information to be a little bit more than, hey, guys, great job, right? I mean, it should be a little bit more than that. You're looking for something deeper.
I did a long essay in the October-November 2016 issue about the history of letters to the editor of the magazine, which, I thought was entertaining and fun. And you just see that in, let's say, the 1940s and the 1950s, the magazine got these long, thoughtful letters. And today, as you say, you're going to hear, hey, that sucks, or hey, that was spectacular. And you don't necessarily hear more from people. I get it. Modern life is fast. People are busy. But, if you can throw us a sentence, we love that.
And then what do you do with that information?
We publish it if people will agree to it. We publish it in our letters section.
All right, guys. No, you're not. Okay, then I've been here yesterday all day and listened into how the editors and the designers work together, and I caught certain, little tidbits of when they were talking to each other, and some of it was really, really funny. And I thought, you guys would like to hear it too. So my last question to you is, what are some of the things that are rules at American Craft Magazine when it comes to writing? What do you think?
Well, we have many rules.
Many rules.
And
Excuse me, did somebody leave a smoothie down there?
I did.
Okay. I think this is your video.
We're filming.
Robert, come in here and show your face. Come and show your face.
Come.
Look into the camera, show your
Thank you.
face. This is
Oh,
a little further, Robert. This is the new associate editor, Robert O'Connell. Say hi.
Hello.
Thanks,
He's
Robert.
spectacular.
He is very good. So, but back to the rules. What are some of the rules of the game?
And Robert could probably speak to this better than I am because he's got a fresh eye.
He's got to learn the rules now.
Yeah.
So,
Rules.
Are there words that you
Sure.
never ever want to see in an article, or else you're going to shoot yourself?
Well, we're never going to see the word utilize,
Utilize.
which
What's
we,
wrong?
which
What's
we
wrong with
think of
you?
as a pretentious way of saying use. And if there's one thing we do not like, it's pretension.
Mm-hmm.
We try to avoid gushy terms like stunning.
Okay.
I feel like if something is stunning, then someone must be struck dead by seeing it, or at least in a coma. We don't like luminous unless there's neon involved. That's probably a good cross section.
Okay, very good. How about certain grammar things, grammar faux pas? So, for instance, I heard yesterday, I think it was you who said it. You said no end dashes at the beginning of a line, and
No.
I'm thinking,
Right.
oh, I hope I never did that. I hope I never did that. But what happened?
Yeah, we don't like end dashes at the beginning of a line. They go at the end of the line. Of course, our end dashes are always space, end dash, space. I mean, the detail involved is just outrageous. What else?
No triple hyphens in a
No
row.
triple hyphens at the end of a line. Makes reading harder.
What's with what's a stranded mini?
A stranded mini is a small word at the end of a line, like to, so those kind of words at the end of a line that hangs out into space and draws too much attention to itself. So we move those down to the next line. This is all ridiculous.
Very, very funny though. And
It's just there's a science to making reading easier, and we are devotees of that science.
And the last thing I want to tell you people is that there's a lot of thought being put into, creating this magazine. It's not just people write an article and voila, it appears. I mean, there are a lot of steps in between. The editing is incredible. I was here yesterday all day. At the end of the days, my eyes started to cross because, they were going from one edit to the next, to the next, to the next. And I think you said how many edits per text?
I would say every story gets at least 15 reads from start to finish.
15 reads. Absolutely.
And captions tend to get a little fewer, some fewer reads, but
It was really mind-boggling and a lot of fun. And I'm very, very grateful that I could be here. And thank you for sitting with me and answering these questions that came from the web. And yeah, so there. Cheers.
thank you.
Thank you.